Okay, perfect. So hello everyone, my name is Karthik Raghupati. I'm a solutions architect with the Alexa Skills Kit team, and I'm super excited to do this Alexa Skills summer camp. We'll be starting in a few minutes. There's still 5 minutes remaining before we get started. But before we get started, I just wanted to just jump in and just check if everything is working fine. I I can see now that you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay, that's perfectly fine. And can you guys see the presentation that I put up on the screen, which says basically Alexa Skills Summer Camp uh, with my name in there? All right, that sounds okay. That is visible as well. Um, I know, super exciting times for learning Alexa, and at the same time, it's kind of like a difficult time as well because of the COVID situation, entire coronavirus situation. We'll get started in a while, but before we get started, how are you guys? I know COVID has made everyone sit back in home, and there's lockdown in entire India, and it looks like the lockdown can increase for a while. How are you guys doing? Just wanted to hear from you. Are you guys doing good? Are you all safe and healthy? I hope. And yeah, how are you guys doing? I hope all of you are healthy. Uh, Doing good. Yeah, great to hear that. And I just hope all of you are and your family is healthy as well. Uh, Awesome. Feel free to, we'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Feel free to introduce yourself. I see a lot of people here. Uh, Jeff Blankenberg is here. Jeff is from the Alexa team, and for those of you who don't know, he works from Ohio, and he builds really cool skills on his streams as well. So if you have a minute, just go and check out his Twitch stream as well and give him a follow. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Naresh Prajapati is here. Hey Naresh, welcome to the stream. Um, yeah, Devin says we'll know tomorrow 10 o'clock. Yes, I think tomorrow 10 o'clock is going to be when we'll get to know what is going to happen to the lockdown. But I just hope everything, everyone is safe for the time being. Ankit is here. Ankit is from Ahmedabad Alexa community. Ankit and Harsh are here. So, and Nilesh is here as well. So, all the Ahmedabad community, AWS Alexa community are also around. So, that's really good. Tiwari ji asked, how can we get this Alexa t-shirt? It looks cool. I know. This looks cool, but unfortunately, this is just for people from the Alexa team, evangelist team. So, what you can do is maybe interview to be at Amazon and maybe join the Alexa team to get this t-shirt. Someone asked, how can we get Jeff's stream link? Just click on Jeff's username and maybe you can get link to his account. Yes, Jeff's just posted his link in there. Yeah, just a couple of minutes more, guys. Really appreciate all of you joining us today. We are going to be streaming for the next 5 days, 1 hour daily, and we are going to be building a game skill on Alexa. So that is what we are going to do, and I'm super excited. And I'm also kind of nervous because this is the first time I'm streaming to such a huge audience from my home, and I'm not really sure, and I just pray to God that my internet holds up. So far it looks like good, but I hope nothing happens to the stream, and if at any point you feel there's some issues with the stream, feel free to post it in the chat, and I'll try and figure out what's going on with there. Karthik, will there be a hands-on? Vijay asks. Yes, Vijay, this is going to be an entirely hands-on session for the next 5 days. Just when I start today for the first 10-15 minutes, I'll be speaking a bit using some slide decks, but after that, it's going to be entirely code. Code is what we'll be talking about. Jeff says, one issue, the presenter doesn't have a pandemic beard. I don't like to have a beard, Jeff, partly because my wife doesn't like me having a beard. So that's the reason. But yes, any environment to be set up, all of those, I'll be sharing those information with you guys today. So yeah. I'll be sharing all of that. How can you get the Alexa T-shirt? You have to join the Alexa team interview. We have some few questions open. Maybe just join the team. All right. Uh, I see a lot of questions being asked, and some of those questions I'll be answering on the stream itself in just a couple of minutes. So, yeah, cool. Are there any prerequisites? There's no prerequisites. You just need to know how to code. I'll be starting from scratch, and I'll be giving you some tutorials as well to get started with while we get started. Is this session going to be recorded? Yes, and you will be also emailed if you have registered on that link. You will get an email with all the resources as well. All right, so let's get started. I think the time is 6 o'clock, and we've got enough people here in today. So glad for all of you to come in and join us today. So let's get started. Before we, all right. Yeah. So before we get started, just a couple of things that I wanted to ask you to do. First of all, just make sure you're following our Twitch channel. And the way to do that is by clicking on the heart button at the top so you get notified whenever we go live. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Either me or someone from the from the Alexa team would be who are in the chat would help you out. And this is going to happen every day for the next 6 days, next 5 days, right? So check in every day at 6 p.m. IST on the same link for the next 5 days. Apart from this, the videos will be emailed to you along with the code samples by the end of this week. That's when you will get it. And last but not the least, you will have to you can join the Alexa Slack community for the Indian developers, and I'm just posting the link as well. I hope that is the link. There we go. So that is the link, alexa.design/India Slack invite. Please make sure you are joining that link and joining the Slack channel and asking your queries there after the stream, right? For this session, you can just ask your questions in the stream as well. So is this India only? Well, not really. You can, if you are from any other country, you should be able to follow through. That should not be a big issue at all. Just that the emails will not reach you if you're not an IN developer. So apart from that, it's entirely, open to all of you. Okay. Do we have any other questions before we get started? Shivam asks, am I completely novice to Alexa? Is it okay for me to attend this? Definitely, Shivam. This is as long as you know a bit of coding, because we will be going through a bit of technical stuff. This should be pretty much straightforward for you to grasp. So, yeah. Yes. So the Slack community link I just shared in there. No, Vikrant, we won't be covering what we are, we won't be covering audio skills. We will be building a game skill. And yes, I see a lot of you asking what are we going to learn in this session. So let's get started, right? So the very first day, that is today, we are going to come up with a skill idea, and we are going to design the initial experience. That is what we are going to do today, right? After this, and let me give you a heads up, the skill that we are going to build is a game skill, right? And it's a game skill that you can build on top of Alexa, and people can use that game skill to play along and get entertained. So that is the game skill that we are going to build. We'll be starting from scratch. We'll be coming up with the idea for the skill, then we will design the initial experience, and then once we have done that, on day 2, that is tomorrow, we'll be building it. We'll be building the core logic into it. We'll be testing the skill, and we'll be localizing our skill, which means not only building the skill for one language but for multiple languages. If you guys don't know, we recently it's been almost a few months since we launched Hindi for Alexa. So that is something that we have available, and other languages as well. Alexa is available in 15 languages. So we are going to be talking about how to localize your skill and improve, ask get it to multiple people. I see a few questions where you can say when can you ask the doubts. You can just ask it right now here itself. Okay, and last but not the least, adding databases and retention mechanism in our skill. That is day three, what we'll be talking about, where we'll be talking about how to call a database and how to make sure that users come back into our skill, right? So that is one of the important things that we hear from developers that, hey, I built a skill, but people are not coming back to my skill. What do I do so that they come back into our skill, right? So that is some of the retention mechanisms that we'll be talking about. um, Adding leaderboard and gamification to our skill. This is on day four. On day four, we'll be talking about how to get, how to build a leaderboard into your skill, so that people who are answering right or giving the correct answers come up on the top of the skill. And last but not the least, I'll explain to you how to publish the skill and getting our skill certified, right? Now, before we do that, just a couple of things. We are also running an incentive program, and maybe I can just bring that up quickly. Let me just see if I can bring that up. So the link is alexa.design/offers. Design/offers. Right, so we have a incentive program running on where you can build a skill and earn some developer perks, where we are giving out some Amazon gift vouchers and a lot of AWS certification vouchers as well. So this would be a good time for you to learn through these sessions and build a skill as well, right? So the link, I just posted it in there. Yeah, and you can just go and visit those links, right? Okay, now let's come back. Okay, so let's talk a bit about gaming, right? So one of the things that we have always seen is almost in all the games, all games use voices in different way, right? So this voice revolution that we are talking about, it has always been in the game and in the game industry in general. So, and I just want to float this idea by you as to what happens next is up to you about the kind of experiences that you can build on top of Alexa. And here are some of those voice first games that we have on top of Alexa. So for example, we have this really cool game called as Jeopardy, right? So you can say Alexa open Jeopardy, and then it opens up Jeopardy, and then it asks an answer, and the question is the answer in that game. So very popular game, a quiz show in the US that has been propagated to Alexa as well. There's this really cool game called as the Magic Door. There's a really cool game called as the Magic Door, which is a role play game. So basically, where you say something like Alexa, open Magic Door, and then it goes through the entire experience. And then once you play through this entire experience, you are given decisions like, hey, do you want to turn left or do you want to turn right? Do you want to fight the king or do you want to just accept his orders? And then as depending on what the user says, it just takes you on a different type of a role play kind of a game. I'm pretty sure you might have seen this Netflix movie called as Bandersnatch, kind of like building a same experience on Alexa, one of our popular games, right? Then there's rock paper scissors as well, where you kind of can teach, play rock papers and scissors with Alexa, like Dungeons and Dragons. Yes. SS Sami asks, I hope we can make D&D like games. Yes, definitely, you can definitely make D&D like games into the skill, right? So these are some of those games that we have on top of Alexa, right? And there are some voice first games available in India as well. The very important ones, if you have an Alexa device, you can just say to Alexa, Alexa, open Impossible Bollywood Quiz. And if you look at the first image, I'm pretty sure you guys know who it is. It's Gabbar Singh from the movie Sholay. And it's a very good skill where it asks you a question about Bollywood and it tests your knowledge on Bollywood, right? One of our developers who is available is in the chat, Ashish Jha. He's built a really good skill called as the Ganga Quest. Again, a super role playing kind of a skill that we have seen, like Magic Door, a really good experience. You can just say Alexa, open Ganga Quest, and that's what you would see, right? A full experience. So there are some voice first games that are available in India, and you can go to the amazon.in/skills link, and you can see a lot of these games that are available and play around with them and come up with your own ideas, right? Now, why do why is it a good idea to build games on top of Alexa, right? So one of the reasons is it extends the player's agency, right? So say for example, you can build totally different type of games, like you can build quiz games, maybe you can build a companion app. So for example, I'm not sure how many of you are Fortnite fans here. I play a lot of Fortnite, and I have a skill called as Fortnite tips that I use to just learn tips every now and then whenever I'm playing the game, right? So I'm not playing the game on top of Alexa, right? I'm playing the game on PlayStation, but sometimes I would just ask Alexa for a Fortnite tip, and then the Fortnite tips skill gives me the Fortnite tip, right? Or sometimes maybe I ask Alexa, hey, where do I drop with my friends, right? And it randomly takes a location and says maybe you should drop at the swamp, or maybe you should drop at the agency, or stuff like that, right? So you can build skills with Alexa that can kind of extend the player's agency. And you can also look at games connecting players globally. There are, and we'll be talking a bit about, um, connecting players globally, how you can build experiences on top of Alexa, where you can connect users via, say, something like a leaderboard mechanism, um, via a leaderboard mechanism or stuff like that, or maybe a multiplayer mechanism. How can you make multiplayer games available on voice, right? We'll be talking about that as well. And this is an interesting thing. Voice brings analog to the digital realm, right? So, for example, whenever we used to play, say, for example, rock, paper, scissors, we would use our fingers or our hands, right? And what would happen is, these are all analog tools, right? Maybe you're playing Ludo. And speaking of Ludo, you can just go and search for Battle Ludo on the Alexa skill store. The team from Voxogenic, Indian developers again, they built a skill called as Battle Ludo on top of Alexa again. So voice also enables game developers to bring analog to the digital realm, right? So that is one of the really good stuff about building an Alexa game skill. And like I said, voice allows for the gaming on the go. So say for example, you built a skill like the Magic Door, right? Now I'm playing the Magic Door when I'm at home, and then suddenly it's time for me to go to office, and then I take my car, and then I'm driving to the office. When I'm driving to the office, I can play the Alexa skill. I can play the Magic Door on my car, enter into a side quest, and kind of do like an entire side quest. And by the time I get back to office and use the Alexa device there, I have some new collectibles or some new weapon items, right? Stuff like that. None of this would have been possible if I was driving a car and I was playing on a mobile phone. That would not be possible, which you should not do anyways. But with voice, it gives you the freedom for kind of gaming on the go as well, right? Yeah. And last but not the least, voice inviting deeper engagement. Voice, the kind of skills that we have built, we have kind of seen that people, when they play Alexa skills, kind of building a really good experience, kind of make sure that people come back into the skill again and again. So it's almost like, say for example, you play a game with your friend, and the friend asks you a riddle, or maybe it's a quiz game. You sometimes now with the COVID situation, we kind of play this game with our friends on the phone, and we keep going back to the same friends to play the game. And the reason why we do that is because as our friends, we kind of have a deeper engagement with that. And that is what Alexa allows us to impersonate, in the sense that it has voice and it almost feels like a digital assistant talking to you, so you can kind of build skills that gets the users back into your skill again and again, right? So that is something why we should be building Alexa skills, and games in general. So that is the overall outlook of why build games, right? And now I wanted to show you a couple of games before we get started, and then we'll talk about how we can take some ideas from them, and then we'll play the game, right? So that is something that we are going to be doing. Yeah, and I'll need your help, because while I'm playing this game, I'll need your help in the answers as well. And I just hope my device is audible to all of you. So let me just try. Computer, good evening.
Good evening. Hope you're having a good day. By the way, I've been tracking news from India and around the world. To hear the updates, ask, what's the news?
Did you guys hear Alexa's sound? Okay. So someone asked, what materials do we have to study for the Alexa certification? There are, just search for Alexa certification. I've written a blog post as well, and you can kind of learn from that as well. But just go online and search for some materials, and you will get a lot of materials regarding that. But let's try out this really cool quiz called as the song quiz. So this is an award-winning game. So let's first of all check what this skill is all about. So I'm going to go into the skills section, and let's type in here song quiz, right? Okay. So it's built by the people at Wally Inc. So let's try out this game, right? Computer, start song quiz.
Welcome back to Song Quiz. How many people want to play Song Quiz?
1.
What is your first name?
Karthik,
Where are you from?
India.
Choose a pop music decade or this month's featured playlist.
Computer, Bollywood.
Starting your Bollywood game. Searching for an opponent. Your opponent is Olisha from Washington, D.C. I'll play 7 short clips from Bollywood. Guess the song title or artist, or you can guess both for bonus points.
So we have to guess
If
the
you
song,
need
guys.
more time, just say repeat. Question 1 of 7 for 10 points. After the music stops, name the song title and artist.
Repeat for more time. Does anyone know the answer? Saturday.
You got the title for 10 points. The song was Saturday, Saturday by
Hey,
Kathy
we did it.
Kushi.
We did it. That is
Olisha
right.
answered correctly.
But
It's a
I
tie
need
game
the
of 10.
actor as well.
Question
Sorry,
2
the
for
artist
10
as well.
points. Name the song title and artist.
यार तेरे का फैन मनिस्टर बैठा है जो पावर में
DJ वाले बाबू.
You got the title for 10 points. The song was DJ Wale Babu by Badshah.
Yeah, see,
Olisha guessed the artist and title correctly.
you guys need to give me the
Olisha
title
is ahead
and the
by 10
artist
points.
as soon as possible.
Question
Yeah.
3 for 10 points.
Repeat. Mahi by Arijit. Yay! We
You
got that
the
right.
artist for 10 points. The
Oh,
song was Ve Mahi by Arijit Singh.
the problem is I didn't
Olisha
say
guessed
Ve
the
Mahi,
artist and
so it's
title
Ve
correctly.
Mahi and not Mahi.
You're down by 20. Question 4.
I'm lagging
for
here,
20
guys.
points.
Need your help. Buleya by who's the artist? Preetham. That's Pritam, right? Tera Surur.
The song was Ashik Banaya Aapne by Himesh Reshamia. Olisha answered incorrectly.
Someone said
You
Dhinchak
and
Puja. That's
Olisha
not
are
that's
tied
not
with
Dhinchak
50
Puja.
points. Question 6 for 20 points.
Repeat. Repeat. कुछ कुछ होता है by Udit Narayan.
You got the title for 20 points. The song was Kuch Kuch Hota Hai by Jatin Lalit.
The answer was
Olisha
Jatin
answered
Lalit though.
correctly.
So
You're tied at 70 points.
guys, we are
It's
tied
time
at
for the
70
song
and this
quiz
is the
bonus
tiebreaker.
round.
So this is where I need your help.
Question 7 for 40 points.
Repeat. Guys, I need help. Raftar by Badshah. Guys,
The
oh.
song was Bole Diggy by Zack Knight. Olisha guessed the artist and title correctly. You got 70 points.
I know guys, I know.
Raro.
My
Olisha
song
won.
knowledge is not that great. So Alicia won, yeah. Let's see how
You
that
piled up
interaction goes.
140 points in song quiz. Level 2 is at 150 points. Keep hustling. The next game is starting in a few seconds. Later on, if you want to come back to song quiz, just say Alexa, open song quiz.
Computer, stop. So we
Want to
played.
test your skills against the whole family? Check out the Song Quiz Family playlist to see who knows music best.
Right, so we just played a game called as a song quiz. It's an Alexa skill, and as you can see, one of the most used skills. Really good skill, really good experience. What did you guys like about this entire experience? I would like to hear from you guys. Someone's requesting chain smoker. That's not how it works. I'm not here to play songs. I'm just playing a skill which plays some songs. So it's not something that I'm playing. Rahul says the pseudo player in song quiz is what makes it so fun for people playing alone. Yeah. So there is a pseudo player. So I was playing against someone called as Olisha. So it was like a mysterious person that I was playing against. In such games, can we include options like world ranking? Yes, definitely we can do that. And it was engaging the user, right? Super fast interaction. Now this skill was made for multi-modal devices, so you can actually see some graphics on top of the screen, but because I did not show you the screen, you could still participate in that game with me, right? And that is why one of the reasons why this game is really good at what it does, right? So really good game skill. Very different. It's a quiz skill. I see a lot of people saying that, hey, let's not build a quiz skill, we are not going to build a quiz skill, but we just saw how someone took a quiz skill and added a totally different flavor to it and made it really entertaining, right? So we need to think of these kind of ideas and kind of think as to how we can improve our ideas on that. So that is one kind of a skill. Now the second skill that I had in mind was a really good skill called as deal or no deal, right? I'm going to open up the skill again on the skill store. Let's go to deal or no deal, right? Again, so this is a very simple skill. Just like how you play deal or no deal, where you are given like 12 boxes to choose from, you choose one box that is yours, and then in every round you kind of open the open the boxes again and again, and then the banker trades in for an offer, kind of like I think this is a game that was available in Indian TV shows as well for a while. Salman Khan was hosting it, but yeah, that is something that we'll be playing now. So the next skill, look for what we can learn from the skill, right? Computer, open deal or no deal.
Are you ready to play?
Yes.
You've got 2 plays remaining. Okay, let's see if you can win £250,000. Firstly, please choose your lucky box. Say a number from 1 to 12.
10. Right? So 10 is my lucky
Okay,
number.
10 is your lucky box.
It is a hands-on
Where are
session,
you
guys.
going first?
6. 5. 7. Computer stop. So for some reason there seems to be some issue with this skill, so I'm going to try this
I
again.
didn't catch that.
One more box before the next offer. Let's make it a good one.
8. 'Stop. So there seems to be some issue.
Okie dokie.
Thank you for playing Deal or No Deal.
Let's
This skill was brought to you by Vocala.
let's just try that one more time. Computer, open Deal or No Deal.
Would you like to resume your last game?
No.
Welcome back to Deal or No Deal.
Are you ready to play?
Yes.
You've got 2 plays remaining. Okay, let's see if you can win £250,000. Firstly, please choose your lucky box. Say a number from 1 to 12.
10.
Okay, 10 is your lucky box.
Where are you going first?
3. Stop. So guys, this is not working for the
Okie
time.
dokie.
Thank you for playing Deal or No Deal.
So this does not seem to be working. There seems to be some issue. And I tried saying open box 3, open box 6. I said that what happens is it opens that box, but for some reason, maybe it's an issue with my device, but the audio is not coming out. The animations are working fine. But I think that's perfectly fine. We're not going to worry too much about it. But the point I wanted to drive was something that we drew through the song quiz skill. It was quite engaging, right? It had a leaderboard, and it had a pseudo player, like Rahul mentioned. There was almost a player whom we were competing against, so kind of it made kind of a really competitive game kind of an environment, right? So that brings us to the skill that we are going to be building in this entire skills camp, right? So before we get started with building our skill, there are 4 questions I believe you need to ask. Or rather, if someone asks you what is it that you are going to do with your skill, maybe you should have a write-up which can answer these 4 questions. And they are: what is the purpose of your skill? How are customers going to use your skill? What can they do with the skill? And what are you going to collect from the customer to personalize the experience? So these are the 4 things that you need to keep in mind, so that if someone asks you, hey, what does your skill do, maybe you should have a right answer for that. Okay, so this is the game that we are going to be this is the game that we are going to build, right? So the game that we are going to build is something called as Riddle Me Today. And what Riddle Me Today does, it's a voice first game that tests the user's riddle solving skills by giving them a riddle every day. So users can say something like, hey Alexa, open Riddle Me Today to start the skill. And for every riddle on every day, the users get 3 chances to get the answer right. So the less chances they use to get the answer right, the more points they win. So for example, it asks you a riddle, it gives you a riddle, and you answer it on the first try itself, you will get say 10 points or something like that. say you give it in the second chance, second turn, you get something like 5 points. You do it in the third chance, you are going to give it in like get like some 1 point or 2 points, stuff like that, right? So the base premise is very clear: a riddle every day, right? That is the premise of the skill. And how fast you answer it, how sooner you answer it without using most of your lives, you get that much amount of points, right? The points are then calculated, and what you do with this is we then rank them on a leaderboard for a weekly and an all-time ranking. So basically, kind of like escalating them to Riddle Master, or giving them names like that, is something that we'll be also doing through this leaderboard. So we'll be building a leaderboard, and there will be like a weekly tournament that will be happening on the skill. So people come back into the skill so that they say that, hey, I want to be on top of this week's leaderboard. So they come back again and again. The skill will remind, if they get the answers right thrice consecutively, they will get some brownie points. So for example, if a user comes into the skill, right, and every day they give the correct answer for 3 days, they get some brownie points, and that will just make them rank higher on the leaderboard, right? So that is something that we'll be also building with this skill. And alternatively, I think this part is missing, so let me just bring myself a bit up there. So you can read this. The skill will also remind users of new riddles every day, and if they give them access to reminders, if the users give them access to reminders, or access to email, we'll be also asking them access to emails. It will notify them via email as well, right? So that is something that we'll be learning in this session as well. So this is the skill idea, right? So what do you guys think of this, right? And we will evolve this idea. This idea is not very set in stone. At this point, we are just getting started. Today is just getting the tools installed and making the situational design. But apart from that, this is a very core idea at this point. The purpose of this entire camp is to take an idea literally just devised just a few hours ago, kind of work on that over the next 5 days and make a full functional skill, right? So that is something that we are going to be doing, right? Okay, now next let's get started. So after this, so this is Riddle Me Today, and here are some of the considerations that we have for the skill. One of the consideration is that we want that the skill gives very simple answers, and it has a very straightforward point system. So we don't want kind of like users giving very complex answers, and we don't want things like do these 3 things to gain these many points. You give the correct answer, you get the right amount of points. Weekly and monthly leaderboard system, and this is what we'll be also building through this. And engaging sounds, that is something that we'll be putting into the skill, so that just like how the song quiz did it, right, it had a intro track kind of thing. That is something that we'll be building. Email and reminder notifications, that's something that we'll be building as well, so that people get notified whenever there's new content in our app. And last but not the least, how to have some good visual experience as well. That is optional, but we will be very at this point we'll be just limiting it to the first top 5 or 6 points, right? Okay, here are a couple of links that I wanted to share at this point. So before you get started with your skill, you need to design your skill, and for designing a skill idea, there are a couple of courses that you can take. I'll be talking about them in this course, but of course, if you want to deep dive into them, these are the links that will be very helpful. So you can just take a couple of minutes and go to alexa.design/guide, or you can go to alexa.design/situational design, right? These 2 links helps you design your skill effectively, and read through this guide. It's a really well built skill guide that can help you out. So let's go into the situational design thing, right? So the situational design is a language that we've developed at Amazon, coming up with how to go about building this entire concept of skills. Um, and what we'll be doing is, say for example, you have a skill idea. How do you build it? And naturally, whenever you have an app idea, you kind of start to do like this flow charts, right? We thought that there could be a better way to handle that, and we did not go along with flow charts, and we came up with this idea of situational design. And all of this is available in this link here, which is alexa.design/situational design. Will APL be used? I'll try, like this is just a 5 days session, so maybe we may not be able to do APL in this session, but maybe we can try that. And yeah, what tool I need to install? Just give us a couple of seconds, we'll be coming to that link. But yeah, read through this entire situational design thing. But basically, what it means is when you have a skill idea, how do you go about building it, right? And most of the developers, what they do is, hey, let's get started with the coding, right? We just start with the coding right away, but that's not the right way to do it. First of all, you need to come up with a script of what you think the entire experience is going to be, right? So for example, this is how it is going to be. Let's say the user says something like, Alexa, open riddle me today. And I think I saw a question where someone asked, what is a skill? A skill is basically an app for Alexa, and we are going to be learning about how to build that. So the Alexa says something like, hey, welcome to the skill, here's your riddle, or something like that, right? And then user says, okay, here's the answer, right? And Alexa says correct answer or the wrong answer, stuff like that, and then gives them some points or stuff like that. All of that will be available, right? So now, how do you take it from a script and kind of make a design out of it? And that is what situational design helps you out with. And we have certain just go to this link that I shared, alexa.design/situational design. Go in here, there are lots of templates that helps you do that, but basically what it does is there's an XD template that we have that you can use. Maybe I can just open this up here like this one, and you can make something out of here, right? And yeah, this is how it looks like. Oops, sorry. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. Let me just bring this up. Yeah, there we go. So this is my situational design for the skill. I've made some situational cards as to how this entire flow should go through, and this is how it looks like. Okay, and I can make more and more out of this, and this is a better way to do that rather than using a flowchart based system, and that is where this really excels, right? And out of this, when you have made your entire workflow, this is how it would look like. Where did that go? Yeah. This is how my skills happy path would look like. A happy path for the skill is basically a path that users take so that they get to having a great experience on the skill. So look at this experience, and I just wanted to show you how this experience looks like. So very first thing, the user says something like, whatever the user says is what we will put in here. The user says something like, Alexa, open riddle me today. And the situation is basically the user is opening the skill for the first time. Yeah. Is this available? Okay, let me just, not sure if you are able to zoom in, but I hope you are able to see this though. Yeah, I hope you are able to see this. I'm able to see it on the stream. But anyways, we want that when the users open up the skill for the first time, they need to have a really great experience. And that's why I've made this entire situational design. So look at this. The user says, Alexa, open riddle me today. The situation is that the user is launching it for the first time. So we will play a small intro music, and it will say something like, hey, welcome to riddle me today. I'll give you a riddle every day and 3 chances to answer it correctly. The less chances you take, the more points you win. and all your points count towards our weekly leaderboard. Yeah, so are you ready for today's riddle? So that is the question that Alexa is asking, right? So that is what we would put it in prompt, and this is all something that you would find in the situational design, but the output is you are going to get something like this, and you don't need to have this same template, but you can even make it on a piece of paper. That's perfectly fine, right? But the idea is to kind of make storyboards like this so that your game idea or your skill idea is laid out in proper parts like this. Okay, so then the user says yes. So the user has provided consent for riddle and they want the riddle. So here's the riddle. What starts with T is full of T and ends with T. So this is like a simple riddle I have put up. I'm not going to put up as an easy riddle, right, on the actual skill, but because we are just practicing here, we just don't want to focus on riddles, but we want to focus on the code. So then Alexa will say something like, hey, do you know the answer for riddle, right? And the answer is teapot, right? So the user has given the correct answer in the first turn itself. The user came to the skill for the first time and they've given the correct answer. Because they have done that, we need to delight them, right? And that's why the response is something like, hey, that's amazing. Teapot is the right answer. Since you got it right the first time, I'm going to give you 10 points to start with. This puts you on the 31st position in the leaderboard. Check back in tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the new riddle. Would you like me to remind you when the new riddle is out? And then the user says yes. And the user has given consent for reminding them. So we will do something called as the reminder, which will invoke the reminder workflow and set a reminder. And then Alexa will say something like, hey, that's done. I'll remind you every day at 9 a.m. about new riddles, right? So that is something that, that is the outcome of our skill. This is a very basic skill at this point. We are not too worried about the other situational flows, and we will build it out as we go ahead. Now so this is like the happy part to the skill. We want to make sure that people who are coming into the skill are having a really great experience, and at the end of the day are returning back really happy, right? So that they can come back to the skill again and again. And that's what this entire happy path is about, right? And then we'll make more and more such paths throughout this entire skill. Now, next up, what we are going to do here is let's talk a bit about what are the tools that we are going to need. And I want all of you to make sure that you are installing this. In case you don't have it, just make sure you're using it, and I just posted the link in here, so I hope this link goes through. Very first thing, you need to install the Ask CLI, and this is available on the links that I have just shared on the chat. And install Visual Studio Code, create a developer account, and have a AWS account as well, right? So these are the 4 things that you'll need for this entire session, for this session and for the upcoming sessions as well. And yeah, this is what you will need to get started with. I think a couple of questions here that I can answer. People are asking if we can change Alexa's response time. That is not possible. It has by default 8-second response time. You cannot change it. Is the coding language Python? For this session, we are going to be using Node.js, but if you are very familiar with Python, feel free to use Python. That should be perfectly fine, and I'll be sharing some link as well about how to get started with that. Okay, now let's get started with the code, right? So this is what we are going to do. I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code editor. Okay, save, and let me just go inside the projects. I hope you guys are able to see my terminal though. Are you guys able to see my terminal? Is the font size visible? If not, let me just increase the size. Okay, so I just done that. So we'll get started with building our first skill. I'm going to be using the Ask CLI, And if you have this set up on your computer, that's perfectly fine. If not, you can do it on your computer, using something called as Alexa hosted. You don't need to set up all these tools on your system. You can do it all online as well. But for this workshop, I'm going to because I'm going to teach some advanced concepts in database, I want to make sure that we are having this set up. Go to the Ask CLI link and make sure you have installed Ask CLI so that you can follow along with whatever I'm teaching in here. Okay, now I'm going to click on type ask new, and first of all create a new skill, right? That is what we are going to start first. And it asks for the runtime. We are going to start with Node.js v10, right? That is the version that we are going to start with. And once we do that, it's going to ask for a list of templates that you can choose. I'm going to choose with hello world, right? A very simple skill that we are going to start with, and then slowly we will start building it. We are going to call this as riddle me today. That's the name of our skill. Let's just press enter, and it says skill riddle me today has been created based on the chosen template. And okay, let's go in there, right? So now let's go inside the skill, which is riddle me today. And now let me deploy the skill as well, right? So ask deploy. So ask new is the command that I would use to create a new skill locally, and then ask deploy, what it would do is create it on my developer console. Now you need a developer console to build your skills and submit your skill for certification. That's like your developer console where you have everything about your skill, right? So I've just deployed the skill. The name for the skill is riddle me today, and I gave you the link for developer console as well, but I'm just going to open it up here. Okay, I'm going to go to developer.amazon.com. Yeah, right, so that is my developer console. I go inside the developer console, I go into the Alexa skills kit, and this is my template that is getting deployed right now. So I come back here, it's still deploying it. So at this point you can see that there has been something that has been created called as riddle me today, but at this point it's still deploying because it has a lot of models at this point. How does it know your developer console? Yeah, we will be sharing all the session documents. Don't worry about it. All the session documents are going to be recorded and you will be shared with all the assets that we have been sharing. On a side note, we have Jeff Blankenberg, JB Nunn, and me. We all stream on Twitch when we are not streaming on the Alexa channel. So all you need to do is just go to twitch.tv/jbnunn or twitch.tv/pkarthikar, twitch.tv/Jeff Blankenberg, or click on their usernames, and you can follow us there as well to learn more about Alexa development. So at this point you can see that the skill has been deployed, but right now it is creating the skills backend. And what we'll be going through this in detail as once it gets deployed, but basically this is the backend that is getting worked right now. Okay. All right, so with that, the skill has been deployed at this point, right? So let's just see what exactly a skill means, right? So a lot of people have been asking, hey, you've been talking about skills, but what is a skill, right? What is exactly a skill, right? So what you need to do here is, let's just go back, right? And like I said, a skill is basically an app on top of Alexa, right? And just like you have mobile apps for Alexa for your phones, a skill is an app for Alexa, right? And we are creating this skill called as riddle me today. And what happens is I can say something like, Alexa, ask riddle me today for riddle, right? Or I can say something like, Alexa, open riddle me today and give me today's riddle, right? So these are the ways how I can interact with a skill, and that is how I would work, how I would define a skill. A skill is an app that can be opened with Alexa using these words, right? Here Alexa is the wake word, ask is the launch word, and riddle me today for riddle is the invocation name. Riddle me today is the invocation name, and for riddle is an utterance. Now let's come back to the skill. We've deployed a skill. Let's test it out. Let's go in here. Let's just close all of these things here. Yeah, so now this is how your skill console looks like once you have built a skill. Once you have built a skill, you can come in here, you can see you can make all the changes that you want to make to the skill, right? So this is where you will do that. And once you go in here, go up here and choose all the languages that we are supporting. Right now we are supporting all languages because we chose a template, but when we publish the skill, we are not going to be doing that for all the languages. We are just going to be supporting English, IN and Hindi, and we'll talk about this why later on, but at this point let's just understand how a skill looks like, right? Okay, so now once we go inside our skill, you will check out you can check out the invocation name. And remember, I talked about the invocation name. This is what an invocation name means. It's how you basically open your skill, right? You can say something like Alexa open riddle me today, or you can say Alexa ask riddle me today for riddle, right? So that is the invocation name, riddle me today. And you can change your skills invocation name from here. Right now the skills invocation name is hello world, right? And we can change it from here, and we can save the model and we can build the model. But because we are using ask CLI, rather we are using the code, we will be doing that with our code itself. So that's what I'm going to teach you in this entire session, right? So let me just open that up. Let me open up the code as well so that we can see how this code looks like. I'll come inside riddle me today and go inside models, and basically all these languages that we are seeing, right? English IN, English US, English UK, all of these are called as models, right? All of these are referred to as models in your code. So here enin.json, right? This is enin.json. So I'm going to come in here and just change this to riddle me today. Yeah, very simple changes. I just went to the models, I went to enin.json, and I just uploaded, I changed the invocation name here. Now once I have done that, what I need to do is come back here and do something like ask deploy again. So every time you need to update your code, all you need to do is just save that file and just do an ask deploy. So I'm just going to do an ask deploy. Almost coming to the end of this session. I know that a lot of you have been trying some of these things, and like I mentioned, this is something that we will be doing over the next 5 days. So if your answers are not answered right now, I would say please go and join our Slack community. The Slack community link, like I said, is alexa.design/India Slack invite. Just go and join this community, all your questions, and post your questions in there, because in this 1 hour it's really not it's not easy for all of us to answer your questions, but post it in the Slack group and you will definitely get an answer. So yeah, that is something that you should do. Now we are deploying this code where we've just changed the invocation name for the skill, right? And what we are going to do here is do something like Alexa open riddle me today. That's what we are going to check. Now once you have built a skill, you can test out your skill with your developer console as well. And in your developer console, you can test all of this by going to the test option here. So I'm going to go to the test option. Okay, let's go to the test option here, and that's how I would test my skill. And like I said, today's exercise is not at all about getting the skill to work. This is a very simple skill at this point. We have not done anything. We've just changed the name of the skill and we have just deployed it at this point. We don't want to worry a lot about the backend code and a lot of those things. in today's session, just make sure that once we finish this session today, just make sure you've got all the tools necessary for working. You've got all the all the code editor up and running, everything working fine. That's what you should just do in today's session. Okay, so I hope by now the skill has been deployed. Yes, the skill is deployed. Let's come in here and test it out. Now this is a simulator where you will be testing your skill. If you have an Alexa device, that's perfectly fine. You can test your skill in your Alexa device as well. You'll just need to be connected with the same account that you are connected, that you built the skill in. So let me just quickly check if this has been deployed. Yes, this has been deployed. So let's just come here and I can either type it here. I can just say open, what was riddle me today. That was the name of the skill. So that's what we are going to do, right? I'll say open riddle me today, or I can press on the mic button and I can speak as well, right? So at this point it's so let me just come back here. There's just a small issue. I've not deleted my old skills that I was using for testing, so this is something that can happen. So let me just delete all my other skills so that we can just test out this again. So I'm going to come in here and just say change the language to English IN, right? And say open riddle me today, right? Right, so at this point it will say something like, hey, welcome, you can say hello or help, what would you like to try? That's where I'm going to stop for today. I'm not going to be doing any more coding. I just want to make sure that all of you have installed this editor and just are making those small changes. And what happens is this output is coming from a file called as language strings, where it says, hey, welcome, you can say hello or help, which would you like to try? So that's pretty much what is happening today. We just open the skill called as riddle me today, and it opens something like welcome, you can say hello or help, which would you like to try? Okay, that's all about getting a skill to deploy and work. And at this point, let me just bring this up quickly so that we can bring this up. Okay, for today we're just going to wrap up at this point. It's almost been an hour, so this is a good time to put in your questions. I'll answer your questions, so just send in your questions and I'll answer it for the next few minutes or so. Before I answer your questions, just please make sure that you are giving feedback to us about what you would like to learn in the upcoming sessions. What you liked about this session. This will just take a couple of minutes, but that's a good link to get started with. SC feedback. Just make sure you're giving us feedback on what you liked and what you would like in the upcoming sessions. Make sure that you are installing all the software required, basically the Ask CLI, the VS Code, all of those things. That is very important, so that from tomorrow onwards there's going to be no presentation at all and we are just going to code all the time. So you can code along with me and you can ask questions and we'll help you out with that. Read the Alexa design guide. That's very important. Let me just I think some of these links are getting hidden. Yeah, read the Alexa design guide. Make sure that you understand how to design for Alexa. A lot of you have some issues with you have some questions. Join the Alexa Slack community. Whatever we cannot answer here, please go and post it there. We'll definitely get to all of your answers. And last but not the least, if you have never built an Alexa skill before, we have a very simple course called as the Alexa Cakewalk course. This will take somewhere around like say an hour or two max. Just go through that. That will just make this skill camp very easy for you. So yeah, and don't forget to check back in tomorrow at 6 p.m. IST, because that's when we are going to be starting to code again. So I'm just going to take a few questions. You will be sharing the videos, right? Yes, we will be sharing the videos. Where can we read about Alexa skill creation? Go to the Alexa Cakewalk link. That should be helpful. Priyam Saikia asks what should be the prerequisites for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session, make sure you have the Ask CLI installed and you have VS Code installed. As simple as that. Just make sure that is there. Do we use Visual Studio Code? Not really, Kaushal. We can actually use any link, any editor that you want. But for this purpose, I am just very comfortable with VS Code. That's what I am using it. If you're okay with Notepad++ or even Notepad for that matter, please go ahead. No issues at all. Are these communities also available for European Slack and others? Not really, but I don't see a problem with you guys joining in as well. It's an open link. Come in here. There are a lot of Alexa developers there, so would be great to welcome you guys to the community. npm install G production Windows build tools is taking more than 15 minutes to install. I know this is an issue with the Node.js and the Windows system. If possible, maybe you can just try and install a virtual machine like Linux and maybe do your development on that. But yeah, I use a Mac machine. If you have a Linux machine, it's really recommended, but should not be a problem. Just try and install it again. Manvi Grover asks, is the code editor necessary? We can deploy it directly also, right? Yes, we do have something called as AWS hosted, Alexa hosted skill as we call it. And you can read about all of that in the Cakewalk skill course that we are running. And just make sure that you guys are just going through that and you will understand how to do that. But if you are following around this course, in this course, I'm not going to be using that. But yeah, you can totally use do that without AWS account. Can the coding be done in Python or Go language? Yes, SuperGops, you can do it in Python or Go language as long as you can build your language can send a JSON request and pass a JSON request. You can totally do that. Which account Ask CLI will use? So just go to that link. So let me just bring up the link again so you guys can. So these are the 4 links that I want you to go to, which is alexa.design/askcli. Inside that page, in fact, let's actually go in here. Inside this page, there are full set of instructions on how to follow it. Just go in here and go through this, and it will just ask you to do something called as ask init or ask configure. If you do ask configure, it will ask you for your username and password, and that should solve your issues. Karthik asks, can I do this on Raspberry Pi? Yes, Karthik, you can do that on Raspberry Pi. We have something called as AVS Alexa skills Alexa kit. Just search for AVS Alexa kit, and you will come in here, and out here there is a Raspberry Pi model somewhere here, so you can just check that out as well. Yeah, please share the links in chat. So let me just, is there a tutorial to do in Java is what Gautam asks. There is. You can just go to github.com/Alexa. Just go to github.com/Alexa and search for Java samples. We have a lot of Java samples there, and that would be helpful as well, right? So that is something. I think someone asked for the links again. Let me just get those links again for you guys. Let me just copy this, and that should be helpful. If you're not efficiently familiar with programming, Urmi, I would suggest go to the alexa.design/cakewalk. Just a bit of programming would be nice. But yes, we will be talking about a lot of programming stuff on this session. Is these tools are open source? All of these are free for commercial. There's no license needed for commercial use. If Rajat, if I answered your question correctly, Ask CLI is free. Visual Studio Code is open source, I'm guessing, or rather it's free. Create a developer account is also free, and I mean there's no charges. Only on the AWS account you might incur some costs, but that is primarily your usage charges, which is again covered under the free plan that they have. All of them are free. Should the AWS account and Amazon developer account be same? Not really. You can connect this to different accounts. That's perfectly fine. Parth asks, can I do it on Arduino Uno? Yes, that is definitely possible. Uh, you can run it on Arduino as well. Okay. Right. I think there are a lot of questions at this point, but like I said, just join our Slack channel. We'll be taking a lot of those questions there. Just make sure you're joining the Slack channel so that we can answer your questions there. Let me just open that up. Yeah. So alexa.design/India Slack invite. Go to that link and join the channel and ask all your questions there, and we'll get out to help all your answers. So my time is up. It's 7:05 p.m. I'm really excited for all of you who joined us today. Today we just saw what skill we are building and how to come up with the idea for it. We just started with the designing of the skill. We are not doing anything much more. Tomorrow is when we actually start the coding, and for that to happen, please make sure you have all the tools installed, all the coding editor installed, and so that you can follow along. If you are having issues, no worries at all. You can always ask in the Slack channel and we'll help you out. But yes, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I hope all of you had a great time. Thanks Harsh, Suneet, Dream Saver, Ashisha, Rahul, and all the Alexa community folks who have been hanging around. Ankit, I saw you as well. Um, Check back in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Don't forget to give us feedback on what you want so that we can make these sessions more fruitful. And as usual, just make sure you are following us on the Alexa Devs channel so that you can be notified. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. All these videos will be available, so don't worry about using it. Just go to the videos at the top and you will be able to see all these videos again, right? So that's it for today. Really great session. I think we had somewhere around 500 to 600 people tuning in today. I'm excited to seeing all the first class skills that you are going to be building over the next 5 days. Tomorrow we are going to be coding and building a skill. Then afterwards we will add database to it. Then we will see how to add gamifications and leaderboard to it. And on the last day we are going to submit the skill for certification. So that's all that we are going to do in the next 5 days. We've got our hands full, and I hope you guys go back, do this homework, and ask your questions in the Slack channel. Until then, bye from me, and stay safe, stay healthy, guys. Bye bye.